This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com. This show is brought to you by Slice on Broadway, supporting Pittsburgh podcasting with the perfect pepperoni pizza. Production services by Sidekick Media Services. And listeners like you, supporting us at patreon.com/AwesomeCast. It's time to get geeky, get awesome. It is the AwesomeCast. I'm Mike Sorg at Sorgatron on the Twitter in the Sorgatron Media Studios in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Ready to talk tech with all y'all out there today. Y'all, why am I yawling lately? I've been traveling too much, too many accents. First of all, with us from Studio C in the Big D, Dormont, PA. He's a gadget guru, Big Bank International Esquire. He is John Chichilla.
How's it going?
Back again with your wild mind of its own web camera. Yep, there it goes. He's tilting. He's tilting back and forth. There it goes. No.
There's Iron Man.
I think the problem is you pointed or thought you pointed at something, and that's why it zoomed straight into your background last week. So yeah, exactly. So, but we'll see how that goes. Also with us with a dumb webcam is from the iPhoneography podcast. Dave Potter is with us this week.
Yeah, no very high-tech webcam here. Everything's blurry in the front and blurry in the back.
There you go. Party blur in the front, party blur in the back, I suppose. So, but anyways, welcome to the AwesomeCast. If it's your first time here, this is where we get geeky. We talk about tech things from the week from a Pittsburgh state of mind, and we're going to get right into it. First of all, let's get into our awesome things of the week. I didn't even see what you guys put out there so far. Let's see what the latest is on the X-Plane. How about that?
Unmute myself. Sorry about that.
Yes, there we go.
There we go. That helps. Yeah. First of all, people may not realize that NASA keeps doing these experimental planes.
Mm-hmm. Just like the beginning of the new Top Gun movie, right?
Sure. I haven't watched it, but sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Sorry, spoiler alert.
Nope. Oh no. It's ruined for me. It's ruined.
Lockheed Martin got a pretty good spot at the beginning there.
Doesn't shock me.
Yes.
Doesn't shock me.
And they're about to get a spot on this show, so.
Yeah. So if you're older and you remember when, I'm just saying, if you remember when, or remember hearing stories of a long time ago when it was, we're all going to have supersonic air travel and it's going to take New York to London in only like a couple hours. You can go across country. It's going to be so much quicker and easier. And it wasn't. Mm-hmm. And it was expensive. Mm-hmm. And a huge part of the problem was the sonic boom. Mm-hmm. So in the early 70s, they outlawed going supersonic commercial over the continental US.
Yes.
That's why the only thing that flew, like when the Concorde was flying, was like New York to London or New York to Paris. Because if you flew over the continental US, you couldn't go supersonic. That kind of killed the whole reason.
And they've
wrapped... It was the entry into supersonic, yes. Right? Because they wouldn't go supersonic until they got so over, far out. Like they went up around over Canada, and then as soon as they hit the water,
boom.
There was boom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's not a sonic boom on like slowdown?
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Oh, there is. Okay.
Yeah. There's not. Anytime you go, once you go faster, you keep hearing the boom as the pressure wave kind of goes over you. But as you're slowing down, there's also a boom. That's why when the space shuttle re-entered the atmosphere, when it went from supersonic glider to subsonic glider, there was a sonic boom that went over either California or Florida, depending on where it was landing, when it started to slow down. And that's a major issue, especially if you want to have it in let's say you do want to have, let's say New York, LA, Miami, Seattle, New York to, Shanghai, New York, Tokyo. That's where you want the speed, these long distance flights. But you can't say, well, we're going to keep it nice and slow and then crank it up once we're over the Pacific, because the way aerodynamics works, you can make it really good for faster in sound, or you can make it really good for slower, but you can't have both. Just aerodynamics, you have both. So they're starting to develop, and they had the rollout. So it hasn't flown yet, but they had the first rollout of, this is the X-59 quiet supersonic jet they're working on. Now, thing, of course, always to remember is that these are all the X planes are literally experimental. We're going to work on this one topic. And also, they are always the weirdest looking things.
Well, look at that. It's green. It's got a super extended nose. And in this article that you shared from space.com, I believe, it says there's actually no forward-facing windshield. The pilot cannot see forward.
Yeah. So, and that was part of the problem with the Concorde. If you look at old pictures, when you're going supersonic, the angle of the nose was so much they couldn't land it. That's why the nose actually mechanically crooked down, so the pilots could see when they were taking off and landing. Well, we don't need that anymore, because you can have a virtual screen right in front of you.
Look at that.
And you notice there are no buttons. There's hardly any physical buttons other than the flight stick.
That's awesome.
It's all screen. All screen everywhere.
I want to see that thing blue screen.
That'd be scary. That'd be freaking scary to do that. And this is something, and I can't remember if I shared this when this happened, but I got to, I've actually been working for several years with the program manager of this program. And he showed up in, I think this was in Florida where we took this video. It's over on the SAE University programs TikTok, and it's on their reels and everything as well. But Ryan Reynolds, the program manager for Lockheed Martin, he's wearing this floral vacation Hawaiian shirt with this plane on it, and I'm like, Ryan, what's the plane? It was like, oh, this is this experimental. He basically told me all the things that you just told me about this article, and I'm just like, can we do a video about this? Can I talk to you about this? So
you can only see his back.
Yeah, exactly. There he is.
Yeah.
No. No. Our social media person with SAE put a little bit more to this video. So, but yeah. So it talks about that supersonic flight over land and the problem they're trying to solve and everything like that. So we had a nice custom thing. He actually even mentions the Concorde in this video as well. So that's over there if you want to go check that out. And he's been he's also been the organizer for several years of the SAE aero design competition in Van Nuys. That's about near, we'll say near yearly. So aero design has 3 locations, and every location does 2. There's 2 a year, and they do 2 on 2 years and then 1 year off, so they can rotate between the 3 locations for 2 events a year. So, but anyways, yeah, and I think we're going back next year to Van Nuys for that too. So in Ryan's backyard. So yeah, and I think this article says in Palmdale, California. I think I read.
Yeah, Palmdale. Skunk Works.
Yeah,
the Skunk Works.
And the Skunk Works. By the way, I think it's still up there. Lockheed Martin has a Skunk Works podcast. They were promoting it to the students a couple years ago when we were in Van Nuys, and I think maybe one of the other events. I listened to a little bit. It's very, very good, and it talks about stuff that they're allowed to talk about now. All those secret programs and everything like that. It's very, very cool if you're into tech and into invention and everything like that, because that's very real what they do there. I mean, Lockheed Martin has done a lot of military and space kind of work. So we're one of the kind of the key players in that legacy, I would say, in flight in the United States.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, and the one thing to remember is Lockheed Martin was at one time 2 separate companies. Lockheed and Martin. They were 2 separate companies that merged.
Mm-hmm.
And But before to finish up on the story, they want to try getting this sonic boom where if you're flying low enough, you can shatter glass on windows because of the sonic boom, or just make it where like you hear things shaking like an earthquake. And you think people complain living around airports now, if every so often you hear when everything shakes, they want to make it where it's more like a door slamming on a car.
Yeah.
So that's not any worse than, if you live near an airport within 5 miles in an airport, as in near 5 to 10 miles, you hear the airplanes going overhead.
They bank right above my house here in Beachview.
Yeah, I hear them here.
Yeah, exactly. Like I could sit on my porch and they're literally banking above my head. And my grandparents that I would always visit growing up live in Moon, which is right by the airport, and I remember just always hearing that sound. So and it's to me it's kind of soothing, to be quite honest. At least that distance and everything. So
I mean, heck. Taylor Swift registered a 2.3 magnitude earthquake in where was it? Seattle.
What?
Seattle, yeah.
Did you heard about that?
No, I didn't hear about that. I didn't hear about that at all.
So the 2 nights that she did in the Seattle, I don't know, the same place that the Seahawks play. She hit the fans caused a seismic activity equivalent to a 2.3 magnitude earthquake 2 nights in a row.
Jeez.
She outshattered the Beast Quake, which was when the Seattle Seahawks fans erupted in 2011 after a touchdown.
I think they are on a fault line up there. So. Boy. Well, let's move on. And other ventures that are happening, Meta of all people released. I don't think you can get into this, but they do have a blog piece about what they're doing with generative AI audio. It's called AudioCraft. So think what has been happening with, generative AI for like images and things like Midjourney, where you can just type in a statement and it creates something. So basically they're looking to do this with audio. You can see that there's some, I should have kind of cut this in, like whistling and wind blowing was one sound, and sirens and a humming engine approach and pass. Pop dance track with catchy melodies, tropical percussions, upbeat rhythms. So like there's a lot of interesting options here, and the samples they gave are pretty decent. Music Gen is one of the programs, Audio Gen and Music Gen. So obviously the non-music audio prompts like the sirens and the whistling, and then more musical kind of versions of this as well. So it's very interesting, and I'm really interested in they talk about responsible AI practices and everything there. But I'm interested in the idea that I'll be able to create, hey, I need a tune that sounds like this. Instead of just going through a library on Motion Array, I can maybe just generate something like this that works perfectly with my like what's in my head. You know what I mean? So very interested to see how this rolls out. But Meta AI, which I think is just a division of Meta at this point, I'm really curious. They're on their blog. I want to see what Meta AI looks like. Oh, that's right. They're the Llama people. Llama is their open source large language model. I can download the model? Interesting. I'm very curious now. I'm in ai.meta.com if you want to see what I'm seeing here, if you're on the audio versions here. So yeah, it's a big flash piece on what they're doing with Llama, with this audio craft and everything like that. I kept forgetting it was Meta because this sounds like something that would have come out of Adobe, right? It doesn't feel like something that would be a Meta thing, but I guess they're really kind of, I mean, everybody's got a research lab and everybody's coming up with something, right? It'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, to be honest, when I was looking at the audio samples, the bottom one, the text prompt, the earthy tones, environmentally conscious, ukulele infused, harmonic, breezy, easygoing, organic instrumentation, gentle grooves.
But it's also
I need to listen to what that sounds like.
But it's also knowing how that creates what that creates, right? And this is what we talk about. Like we're talking about people that are prompt experts that are getting $300,000 a year salaries. in listings. So it's very interesting. If you become somebody that knows how to wrap your head around that, you become that artist and that technician, right? That you become a word engineer of some sort. And I think that's a very fascinating thing that can roll out from this. So, but anyways. So we'll see what generates out of that. Maybe there's a new theme song for the AwesomeCast. Maybe we actually we should have section cues and things like that. I've been wanting to spruce things up for a while here, but we'll see. AudioCraft generative AI. You can see that on the blog or at ai.meta.com to read more up on that. Especially if you are a musician and interested to see how that kind of rolls together. Chilla, Kraus looks like he convinced you to load the new iOS 17.
Yes.
This is
and
beta.
There's 2 features.
This is beta.
Yes, it's beta. I'm on the public beta, not the developer beta. But it one of the things that caught my eye, and I know you, when you rent cars, love the availability of CarPlay.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that caught my eye when I plugged my phone in after the upgrade was if you are in the music app in your car, there's a little picture in the upper right-hand corner of a head with like a rainbow behind it is what I would equate it to. What that is SharePlay. You actually tap that button and it brings up a QR code, and anyone in the car, and secret anyone anywhere in the world, can take that QR code and they can add to the playlist in the car. They can kind of skip over music. They can they share control with the car audio. I thought it was super cool because it's constantly in our car where it's like, hey, play this song. Hey, play this song. Now I can be like, hey, join SharePlay and play it yourself. So I just thought this feature was really, really nice and really, really well done. The interesting thing because I had to find an article on it so we could talk about it today. The interesting thing in the article on 9 to 5 Mac, they were talking, and I didn't realize this, if you can get that QR code to someone in a far off land, or anywhere outside of the car, they also can take part in the SharePlay listening party. So I thought that was, that function to me was super helpful. But the other one that I have definitely fallen in love with enough to actually leave my former voicemail provider, because I had third-party voicemail, is the live voicemail. So if you look at that other link, when you get a phone call and you let it roll to voicemail, you actually get a live translation of the call. And if at any point in time during that you want to pick up the phone, if you're like me, you screen any number that you don't have, but there could be someone there that you want to talk to, which does happen from time to time, and then you're calling them back, and it's a bunch of phone tag. This lets you pick up mid-call. Obviously, like I said, doesn't work with third-party voicemail providers. I was using Umail, which I would highly recommend and really, really like. But that being said, this feature functionality has moved me into a new realm. The thing that I liked about Umail, which maybe one day Apple will add, Umail can do personalized greetings. So if you called me and you were in my contacts list, it knows your name. So it would say, hi, Mike, John's not available right now. So it can address each person individually. And I really like that personalization. Obviously, that I had to give that up, but to me, this outweighs the value of the trickery of customized voicemail.
It kind of Sherlocked your other voicemail options.
Well, they didn't Sherlock it.
It gave a better solution.
It gave a different solution that I was more willing to move to. So I don't know. Every day I find something a little bit new. I really wish there were more people on it because I have my poster set up. So if I call someone with iOS 17 and they're in my contacts, they get like my picture and a bunch of additional stuff. So I don't know. I feel like this OS, I'm looking forward to many more pieces of feature and functionality than.
Yeah, there's a lot
16.
of bells and whistles, more visual, because there's a lot of like, oh, we're gonna fix a lot of stuff under the hood, and this one's like, hey, we're gonna do some pretty stuff on top of the hood for you that's functional. And I think that's, I mean, and we've got live updates happening with the iPhone and everything like that with the notification page. Like, I think a lot of that is developing, and this is kind of the next step of that, right? So I'm very interested to see what happens there. So. I'm also very interested to see what you guys think of what we're talking about. You can use it if you're on video, hashtag AC651, hit us up on all the social medias. We're AwesomeCast everywhere. That we can be AwesomeCast, I suppose. We're on Mastodon at sorgatronmedia.social, at AwesomeCast at sorgatronmedia.social. We're on Threads. We're starting to figure out how to put stuff on there. The Instagram, the Facebook, all the places, and we're live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time on anything that streams video, basically, whether the Facebook, the YouTube, and over on the Twitch page for Sorgatron Media, actually. And also thank you to our audio partners, postandjoshua.com. Thank you to our Patreon supporters at patreon.com/AwesomeCast, our friends at the Coffee Club level, Matt Weller and Cynthia Klosky, and the fan of the show level, Michael Fedor, John DeGore, and Dave Ponner, spouse of Ruth Jewelry Affair at ruthjewelryaffair.com. You can also get your name in here and join the show at patreon.com/awesomecast, where we put some extra stuff on. What were we talking about before the show, Dave? We
were talking about Happy Meal toys.
Happy Meal toys. We were talking about before the show. We'll be throwing that on the Patreon later.
And just remember, they don't check if you have kids when you buy a Happy Meal.
Definitely don't. So
they definitely don't.
But trust me, we have a lot of Happy Meal toys around here. Hey, you guys ready for a little bit of a beta corner over here? Because I got let into two this week. First, thank you, Katie, and also thank you, Art Sheep the Moon, for giving Katie an access code for Blue Sky right before her access code for Blue Sky came in, which she forwarded on to me. So when I get my access code for Blue Sky, when I get from being on the list, I'll make sure to share it with you guys. But yes, I did make it onto Blue Sky late last week. And guys, I'm here to report it is so Twitter, you guys. It is so Twitter. I love it. You would, like, first glance, if you're on video, could you really tell this wasn't Twitter from like 2 months ago, right? So it's very, now I'm logged in here in the app. It is, yes, it is doing that Mastodon kind of thing, but it very much, I just have like cats and dogs of Blue Sky. I have a lot of cat images, actually. So I don't have a lot that I'm following just yet, because there's not a lot of people on there, other than the like 3 people that I know. Pantser, Art, and Dutters, who hasn't really done much with it just yet.
I'm actually trying to find you. I'm on it. I never received the code, but I am on it.
Oh, are you? Oh,
how'd you get into it?
Yeah,
I don't know. No, I mean, I never got the code to hand out to people.
ProfPod at Blue
I forgot
Blue
who
Sky?
I got. I
found you. I followed you.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you're an egg, or whatever they call it on here. You're you got 3 follows through following. Like, there's some stuff happening there. Okay. All right. Oh, wait, there's somebody I want to follow. Boink. There you go.
I feel really left out right now. I'm just saying that.
The FOMO is real. This is like 10 years ago in the Awesome. Did you get in the beta for the new app, guys? I mean, it's just another thing I'm posting to for the most part. But yeah,
I don't think I have enough posts or enough friends. Well, I haven't posted either, but it's one of those things of, I got on it because just, getting my name out.
Yeah, it's the next thing. Make sure you're on it.
Me. Yeah, this is me. But it's almost like subscription fatigue. I want to post to X, Twitter, not as much as I used to. Threads, Instagram, Facebook. If it's a video, I also want to make sure it's on TikTok, and maybe instead of Instagram, I want to do it as a thread. It's like, okay, I want to post once, and it was I with photos before Twitter lost its mind. I could do an if then that, and have it post to Twitter. Then they took it away.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. I'm kind of waiting to do more with Threads. I'm waiting for them to open it up and integrate it into their creator studio. That I'm having a great. I'm having a great time. I'm having a good line of when I post reels, for instance. It's good that I can do Facebook and Instagram at the same time. Like all that's getting controlled in one place, and it actually makes sense now. And it took them a long time to get there, so I'm not in a hurry for Threads to be on there, because I know it's going to take a bit, right? It depends on where they're at with the company. So there is fatigue. When I post something, depending on the level, if I'm just generally posting, like I'm sitting there at SummerSlam in Detroit on Saturday, I'm doing Twitter, guys. You know what I mean? Like, and every once in a while, when I can think about it, I'll throw it on Threads, and it's something where I'm really got a minute to put something out there. I have the folder with all the social media, and I'll go down the line from Ivory, Mastodon to X to Threads to Blue Sky now. So and it's just the kind of putting that stuff out there, see who reacts to it. And feeling it out, like I keep seeing all these things, when everybody started jumping on Mastodon, when people started losing Twitter, their confidence in Twitter, like everybody that's been there is like, don't treat this like Twitter, everybody. It was like, what? Like, why? You can treat it however you want, and your audience will do what it does. You know what I mean? They'll react differently than they do over on Twitter, because it's a different group of people. We've talked about Threads this is that old school Twitter, group. We're finding each other again because we're not losing each other in all the noise, right, that happens on Twitter. It's almost better to have these smaller communities. I don't know, maybe there's something to that. And then the mass appeal, I hope to God somebody sees this and it goes viral kind of idea. So because Twitter sounds like everybody's talking over each other, and everything else feels like there's a conversation or no conversation happening depending on what it is. So but no, it's in Chilla. I can't say you're missing something. Go hang out on Mastodon. Same vibe. So, except there's like most of my friends aren't there, and I have a bunch of strangers that I'm just sharing my stuff with, right? So,
but I feel like that's like the fun of it, right? Getting in there early, you get a feed that you're never ever gonna get again.
Yes.
Like sooner or later, you're gonna accumulate your normal friends, and the feed's going to kind of normalize, hopefully without the cruft that you had to deal with before. And it kind of gives you a way to self-clean your followers and who you're following. But I feel like there's that early on inception point where you get to grow that social network, that you only get that experience once on a new platform where most of your friends aren't there yet. So no, I mean, take advantage of the moment.
Take advantage of the moment, and you are seeing a lot of that as people are building things up. For instance, Panic.gay saying, as president of Blue Sky, I'll make it so everyone has to select a fictional character to feel they represents their vibes of their avatar. And so there you go. People are having fun over there. So yeah, no, it is, again, it's that yeah, it's that early vibe. It's really that community building kind of idea. I'm not saying you need to be on Blue Sky to talk about your thing, promote your thing just yet. It's really just a bunch of it's been journalists, I feel. Like, that's the only one I hear talking about it on the podcast, or journalists that would have been first in line for something like this so they could talk about it, right? And they're like, oh, yeah, it's kind of boring over here. It's like, yeah, because it's just you guys, in your own echo chamber. So, it'll turn into everything else when they start opening up. And hopefully, eventually, Blue Sky and Threads and everything else Mastodon are all going to start talking to each other in a few months. That's the promise, guys. That and when that happens, if that happens, then I don't know, maybe I delete 2 of these apps and decide which one I want to live on, right? And talk to everybody else. I can bring in, Prof Pod to Blue Sky and talk to you, Chilla Threads at Threads and talk to you, and then, and we're sharing our mayhem show at sorgatronmedia.social, over on everything else. So that's the promise. The other promise, you guys remember Trillian?
Mm-hmm.
Is that familiar? Get your AOL Instant Messenger and your ICQ all in one place.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else that was interesting back in the day. I don't know. Maybe MySpace Messenger was part of that. So I heard about this on some podcast a few weeks ago. It was called Beeper. And the promise is all of your messages in one place. And that's another one where I ended up getting the invite here yesterday, actually. So it is your, you can get your iMessage, you can get your Slack, your Instagram, your Facebook Messenger, all in one app. I don't really think I need this on the phone, but I do like having this on my desktop to kind of keep track of what's going on. Oh, am I missing out on anything? Kind of things. Because sometimes, like, a bunch of messages will collect maybe over on Facebook Messenger that I can't deal with because there are requests a lot of times for footage until I sit down on my computer. And I'm not thinking to go back in and see. We have WhatsApp with some of our providers that we're streaming to that we have to have discussions with. So it is nice to bring that all in one place. And obviously, certain things I want to go natively to Messenger, Slack, Discord to do those kinds of situations. But in the meantime, just having that DM thing, even Slack, like Potter. I don't know if this happened to you, but I know this happened with some of my video people. I'll see a message and it gets buried, right? It's another kind of point for me just to get that going on. Unfortunately, I'm also going to get my LinkedIn spams, whatever. So and I'm trying to figure if I can show it to you other than the images, because I don't know. Yeah, I don't really want to show too much of what's going on here, but it is like, because it's got most of the phone numbers are populated, and you can also sync it with your Apple contacts or your Google contacts, so it will, and it takes a little bit to populate, but eventually, like, it'll start covering up. It'll start. Yeah, I'll go and show this. I think this is mostly safe. It'll start covering things up with names and things like that. Here, Mom texted me earlier to see if we were podcasting tonight. She didn't see us, pop up or anything like that. So there you go. It's got file transfers, and even as I was going through that website, it adds some features like scheduled send. I get something done and it's 2 a.m. I don't want to send that to somebody. Or one thing that happens with me, I'll go to upload a preview of a video or a show that's like 3 hours long. It's going to take a while to go up on YouTube and process. And I'll put a link out that says, hey, guys, try this link in the morning. Basically, right? Now I can say, hey, post this 5 hours from now. That should be enough time for that thing to upload, generate, do what it needs to do so everybody can see the preview. Or on Dropbox or whatever the case may be. So like, that is very handy. That is actually something I do use with clients when I'm sending something and I need to run out the door, but I need to send them this thing by end of the day, and this thing's literally uploading and processing right now. Then I can set that up to send in Gmail in our workspace account. Hey, send this an hour from now, because I know that video will be done processing by then, right? So it does support encrypted chat, such as it even has some hooks in the GitHub. It has Signal in it, so I think that's very, very, very helpful. They say no ads, no siphoning, selling data, no BS. They're going to sell an optional paid subscription with premium filters down the line. So they're very upfront that, again, we're in a beta situation right now, so it is free for the moment, but eventually you are going to get asked to do a...
Well, here's a question also, because on the frequently asked questions page, it says everyone has access, I guess especially since you're in beta, to the features of Beeper Plus for free. At some point, we're going to charge $5 to $10 a month for Plus, but it's not telling you what are those features. So I'm curious to see if they say, well, if you want blah 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 blah, it's $5 to $10 a month.
Well, I think it's literally the stuff that's listed on their page. Search across all apps, prioritize your inbox, send scheduled message, mute the noise. Like, I mean, I feel like that's it, because you're doing it all in one place. You know, the schedule send situation. So now I have the problem, though, because I need to turn off all the notifications, because I don't think I need it on my phone. But if I want to go into one place and not have, because I think, you know, much like we're having the Twitter like fatigue, if I have to go to 4 apps now to make sure everybody sees what I want to put out there, I think we don't we also get a little bit of messenger fatigue too. Oh, some of these people only talk to me on Messenger. Some of these people only talk to me on SMS, you know, and I've not put SMS in here as a rule, because then all the spams are going to come through. You know, but if it's like, all right, I good morning or good night, I need to check that nobody has any fires anywhere. Have I addressed all the communications? I classically ignore Instagram messages. Although I am also, you can add 1 account for each. So here's my thing. This is where, okay, here's where we get more power user. That's great for Sorg, but is that great for a Sorg that also needs to manage AwesomeCast and Mayhem Show and Fishing Without Beta accounts for all these things? So will there be something down the line where I can add my business accounts to something like this? So I don't know. I have not read through the FAQs to see if there's any intentions for anything like that, but it is a good at least taking care of my personal things. My Twitter messages are in here, or whatever it's called, this week. You can put IRC in here. You can put your Google chat in here if somebody's still on there. So there's a lot of options. They gotta watch, because if they come out of beta and half of these services are dead or different names, they need to make sure you know, they're on top of things. So I think it's worthwhile. Chilla, you've been real quiet on this. I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I'm looking for Blue Sky invites, my friend.
He's been busy looking for Blue Sky invites.
I'm spelunking the internet.
You know, listen, Chilla, how many times you're the early access guy? Don't you have some contact at Samsung you can call and be like, hey, what do you got on this Blue Sky?
No. Everybody's selling them.
Yeah. No, it's a hot commodity right now for the moment. So, but no, well, now that I know that Potter's got one and Katie's got one, when mine comes through, I will. Hopefully, it didn't cancel out my wait list since I applied with one of them.
So what did the email? Because that was what I was also wondering. Like, did I miss the email? But no, I didn't. Not that I can see. Like, what did
I don't think you would have. I was forwarded the one from Katie, so I'll see what that looks like. So what is the email you're looking for? Because I've done that too, where I've gone.
Does it come from Blue Sky?
It does from Blue Sky. Actually, yeah, it says Blue Sky invite code. And actually, it was because I did sign up, and whatever reason was down. I got down enough in line where it said, "Oh, you got through."
There's the email. I blocked the invite code just in case, but there's what most of the email looks like.
Okay.
Literally, and the next thing is just, here's your invite code. See you soon. The Blue Sky team. There's nothing left to it.
That's it. That's all there is to it. So, so you're not missing out. But again, I know you want in, but I don't think we're really missing out on too much right now. So, but you can join the sorgatronmedia.social. I think you are on there, aren't you?
I need to get a Mastodon client on my phone.
Yeah.
Any recommendations?
Ivory, we've talked about on the show. It's a subscription. It's not expensive. But if I would, much like Reddit, I think you're better with Ivory. Ivory's the ones that did Tweetbot. So
okay,
and they've been adding a lot of features on them, like features to Mastodon that Mastodon does not officially do themselves right now. Plus multiple account support. It's been really easy to use that. So highly recommend Ivory. What's that?
By Tapbots.
By Tapbots, yeah, exactly. So they're good because they did Tweetbot for forever. So definitely get on there. So do you have a Mastodon?
I'm on yours, aren't I?
I think you're on mine. We'll find out. And so Beeper, that's the other thing we're checking out. And let's see, we already talked about the Jet. Brian Crawford shared this one. Premiere Pro has a transcript option built in now. Where are you at, Final Cut, on this? Because I could really use one. I literally did a video today for the Dungeons and Dragons. We decided to do one Sunday for our pro wrestling top row tabletop Dungeons and Dragons game. Pro wrestlers doing Dungeons and Dragons, just to clarify. And I did the edit in Final Cut because I can move things around and make it look nice. But I wanted the transcription, so I kicked it out. And I'm paying $8 a month, $7-8 a month to do CapCut, to do all the shorts for like this show and AwesomeCast and this is AwesomeCast and Mayhem Show and Fish Without Bait. So I dumped the video into there and did the transcriptions. Because it's the best tool I have, to be honest. That integrates pretty well. So I would love if Final Cut built that in at this point. So and yes, I know you can get the transcriptions free with CapCut, but I pay for it to get the word filtering, so you can get rid of the ums and the spaces and everything like that I just did in this video. But yeah, he says it's more accessibility options. He's interested in it for people with the hearing impaired. He's got a new podcast he's working on, so you can just plug into that and then spit that out and add it to your video in line. I think that's very, very, very helpful. I had to get a plugin called Simon Says for Final Cut to do this thing, and it was relatively in mass. It gets kind of expensive because it's something like is it $1 a minute or something like that? Like some kind of scale like that if you want to do something like that, and hope you didn't mess up and send a wrong file because you just paid for it, so it gets really kind of handcuffed a little bit. That's why we did before CapCut for some of these videos, and there's a reason why we weren't doing a lot of them. So you really are kind of seeing these integrated more. Chilla, I know you do a lot of tutorial for some of the things you set up for Big Bank. Are you looking at some of these for the transcription options for things like that, or did you probably honestly you probably have?
We're not allowed yet.
You're not allowed yet, but you probably have a corporate solution for doing transcription, right?
We use third party.
Okay. But this becomes a little more accessible.
As much as I can.
Yeah, it's as much as you can tell me. Okay. I didn't know if I was running into an NDA or not.
Well, but the interesting thing, like
blink if you
AI
if you sign something.
AI across a lot of regulated industry.
Yes, that would be a problem. Yeah.
Think about it this way, right? And there's a lot of people that still have jobs converting all the dictation from doctors and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Think of all of the privacy concerns and laws and regulations like HIPAA when it comes to do you want the AI taking the voice to text,
taking your data?
Like there's a lot of concern over how they're using it to retrain itself, right? Even when it comes to things like Apple's voice to text or the voice to text that's built into Microsoft Teams, there's a lot of research and transparency that anyone in any industry, whether it be banking or healthcare or the government, even think about it like a law firm, right? You may not want some computer transcribing that kind of information. So it's just it takes a lot for us and for the regulated industry to get comfortable with this type of tech. Not that we won't and not that we can't, but there's some legwork to do, and obviously testing, and we have isolated environments that have
and there's a lot of discussion around this because there's a lot of services that say, oh, this is happening on device. I think any Apple AI or anything is has that security conclave that we talked about, right, for things like that. I think that's it. Do you download? I know there were apps where you had to download the model so that it would do generative images on your phone with your CPU on the iPhone. So that probably what needs to happen, much like, I know you deal a lot with virtual machines and kind of segmenting things. So really, like, you probably need AI that sits on a server walled off somewhere at a big bank in order to do the work, appropriately and to legalities and all that kinds of things. It's not impossible. It's just, we're the testing's happening out in the open, and they're not boiled down yet for those services. This is still a baby technology.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of compute power on the back end. So to put that kind of stuff down on your device, and retraining that model and moving it forward is
I'll
just
even say even outside of banking, when I was in customer service with SAE, we took credit cards over the phone. So you may want to say, hey, we would love to do transcripts of all the calls that come in and put it into a large language model. And we can figure out then, what are people calling about? What do they need? So we know what to make better. Well, if you're getting credit cards over the phone, we actually, when we got credit cards, let's say by mail or email, people don't know why people don't do this. When they want to pay a bill, they send us a email with just their credit card number on it, unencrypted. So we would, of course, delete the email, and if we printed it out, we either deleted it beforehand or we, did something to when we had to have paper copy for 3 years for our thing. But if it had a credit card on it, you had to, wipe the credit card away. Well, that's a problem with, even outside of banking. If it's someone like the power company, a utility that may, this is our helpline. By the way, we also may take credit cards, or we may take your bank information. It's a huge security issue. And This is something on another podcast I was listening to, the Tech John, and they were saying, just remember, it's under a year since AI exploded. Yep. This thing only happened last October, November, when we first heard of ChatGPT.
Remember early internet before we had SSL certificates and security and like my credit card's going where? That's the point of AI we're at. It probably even before that. So why is this audio? But yeah, no, it's very interesting, and we'll see how those are. By the way, I just want to clarify here before somebody gets on me on this. The speech to text in Premiere Pro, there's no mention of AI in this. This seems like a more speech to text. I don't know if that's we've had speech to text before, quote unquote AI, or maybe it's always been AI, or however that goes. But I just wanted to make that point on this one in particular. So. That might be worthwhile, though. I'm actually going to send this to my wife because she has been doing work in Adobe for projects, and she may also be interested in this. So yes.
So I found, because I had to look this up for something, the legal disclaimer from Apple. When you use dictation, your device will indicate in keyboard settings if your voice inputs and transcripts for general text dictation, for example, composing messages and notes, but not dictating in a search box, are processed on your device and not sent to or stored on Siri servers by default. Otherwise, Apple stores transcripts of the things you dictate and may review a subset of these transcripts to develop and improve Siri, dictation, and other language processing features like voice control. Your request history is associated with a random identifier for up to 6 months. Your request history may include transcripts, audio for users who have opted in to improve Siri and dictation, Siri data, and related data, such as device specifications, device configuration, performance statistics, and the approximate location of your device at the time the request was made.
Can you boil that down in 2 sentences for the layman's out there?
Everything you'd use with Siri is stored on Apple servers for 6 months, but is anonymized with a random identifier.
Yes.
But those operations are correlated against each other, so they can't tell who made the request.
But you can create a profile based on your requests and say that looks like this person.
And there's
if you had access to it, which you would have to do some legwork, but it's not impossible that somebody could track it back to you. but
and I think the question starts to come in. There's obviously enough in the Apple universe that they'll say they cannot provide an audio recording or a text transcript based on a person. So they've obviously anonymized it enough that they're not turning over data to the government, or at least not that we know about. But the fact of the matter is, it's out there for 60 days. Or I'm sorry, for 6 months.
So we're getting to pumpkin time. So I do want to touch on these two stories that are left over. Ponder, can you give me a quickie version of this EV story that from GM that you put in here?
Sure. Now this acquired additional hardware that you buy from GM.
Okay.
So similar to what Tesla has with the Tesla Wall. But the idea is you'll be able to park your car, your EV, your Ultimum based EV, starting in 2026. So they're converting things over. You can see all the pretty cars that
they do look pretty.
They do look pretty that I can't afford.
What? That's an Escalade. Oh shit.
Well, I'm talking even the Blazer. Or the Equinox. But and the idea is that you'll be able to, let's say your car's mostly charged. You park it in your garage, and you can plug it where it'll go both from the house to the car, but also the car to the house. So if you lose you lose your power, you can start using your car as a giant battery to run stuff in your house. Similar to what Ford has with the F-150, but the bigger ideas here is that you can have a battery on your wall. So you can use it also, let's say, you have, I have extra, let's say you have solar panels on your roof, and you're producing extra power during the day. You can shove it there, and then at night you can use that. Or let's say you have a fully charged car and you need a little both ways, or you need like extra power because of whatever reason, you can use your car as a giant mobile battery. And again, this is something that should have probably designed in from the start. And this is something that I think a lot of people forget, is that car designs take 4 years from, hey, let's do this, to here's the prototype and it's available next year. So the fact that, this had to be thought of, if it's being rolled out in 2026, this had to be thought about a couple of years ago to even say, hey, we want to do this. Well, can we do it for the first rollout? No, we can't, because we have to get it approved, regulations, it has to pass this. We don't want someone's house to burn down because of the electrical issue. So it's not as quick as consumer technology, but this is now being integrated into all of it.
Oh,
so nice little additional feature.
Nice little add-on, and a nice thing for them to plug there.
Oh yeah.
So
Itching.
Yeah. So I got a really interesting email that was forwarded to me. So we've been using our dog's getting a little older, so we've been trying to get it to the vet and get it taken care of a little bit more. So Little Wick has been going to. We've been going to the Bainfield pet hospital, or whatever it's called, over in Crafton, and I think it's more of a chain from what I understand, because it was like, we pay a thing. We basically have insurance for the dog. I don't even have good insurance on me, but I have it for my dog. But we got an email for something, so this is going to be coming in the next couple of weeks. Again, it was a $45 device. And there's several levels on this. It's called Whistle. You can check it out at whistle.com. And what they're kind of putting over is, it is I really think it looks like it's a Fitbit for your dog kind of situation. So they say it's going to manage their health, track their location, and monitor daily activity, and put together like, hey, your dog's active, doing this, find my pet. So hopefully it's got GPS on it, so it's going to be a little more than the Apple Tag that I have on there. Escape alerts as part of this. Custom fitness goals for your dog. So and also it will report, and I think this is why Bainfield is involved in this. It'll actually send reports about your dog to the vet So, I think kind of like how you can send a report from your Apple Fitness to your doctor, right? Kind of think that idea. So, it's interesting. I just found about this about half an hour before the show, and went ahead and signed up for the free one. It says it includes 3 months of service. I have not seen pricing about how much that service is, so I'll report back on that. A little concerned about that at the moment. But again, if it's something that helps the dog, and I'm actually going to forward it to my mother, who may already be watching this, because I think she'd be interested in it for her pets as well, her dogs as well. So I will have a report on this sooner or later.
So did you get the Go Explorer 2.0?
It says it's 40.
It looks like there's three different models: the Health 2.0, Go Explorer, and the Switch Smart Color.
Let me see what it says here.
Because the Go Explorer is the one with the GPS smart tracker.
Yeah, it just says Whistle Health Plus Banfield on my order. Let me see if what it says in the original email. So free health device, Whistle Health, groundbreaking, claim my free device. Let me see what it says here. It's just called the Whistle Health. Here? This is a landing page for the special link that I received. So the Whistle Health smart device. Maybe it doesn't have GPS or something.
You got the version 1.
This is the version 1. Okay, well, it's the free
the
one,
website.
So.
The website's the version 2 because it looks different.
Oh yeah. Oh, they're offloading the 1.0. I see what's happening here. So, but again, go ahead.
Yeah, if it does enough, but it's kind of like you can health insurance are like, hey, we'll give you a free Apple Watch.
That's basically, I think, what's happening here. So. Yeah.
But it's better than nothing.
Yeah. And look, that's how big it's going to look on my small dog. So there you go. So it says about maintaining healthy weight, spotting skin and allergy symptoms sooner, keeping the vet informed, and increasing overall quality of life. So again, I don't think this includes the GPS situation and some of those other features that we were talking about. But, and I don't know, maybe this is something I can see my mother getting the GPS version for her pets since she lives out in the middle of the country. Especially with the newer dog. Now she does have, the zap collars and things like that for when they go off too far. But yeah, no, I think this would be good because you never know what could happen, right? I think that's pretty cool, especially in the city. If your dog gets out, it could be anywhere within blocks. It could be right next door and you'll never know it, right? So that's why. So we're gonna keep the Apple tag on there. This poor dog is gonna have so much technology around its neck. So we'll see how that goes. Anyways, so we gotta get out of here. Chilla, it's pumpkin time, so I gotta let you go. Chilla, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You have any parting words?
I don't think I will. I'm not going to lie. I don't think I'm going to be on the show next week.
Well, hopefully Katie will be back
to the Ohio.
Ooh.
Cross the border.
Ooh, you're crossing the border. Chilla, do you have any tech wisdom to share with us on the way out the door?
Always carry an extra charger.
There you go. That's good news. Potter, do you have any tech wisdom to send out the door?
Always have something in mind if someone asks you stuff off the top.
No, that's a good one. Yes. If you're going to be in a stadium with 60,000 people, I hope you put on deodorant. Guys, it's been a great. This has been your awesome cast. We'll be back again next week. You have been our awesome audience. Have an awesome week. Stay tuned, Patreon, for a Patreon pre and post show coming up here because I got to figure out what the title is. Thank you, everybody. Again, you've been our awesome audience. Have an awesome week. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at Sorgatron.